Let me ask you something. Have you ever laid next to a man after an intimate moment, staring at the ceiling, wondering what it really meant to him? You felt the chemistry, the connection, the vulnerability, but then, was it just physical for him, or did it go deeper? Here's the truth. Men can say a lot with words, and they can even pretend a lot during the moment, but after sex, that's when the real signs come out. That's when their guard is down. That's when his truth starts to show. When a man is physically intimate with someone, he may be able to fake words, gestures, or even passion during the act. But what happens immediately afterward, the way he acts, what he says or doesn't say, tells a much deeper story. It's not because men are bad at hiding things, but because after sex, defenses fall. In that vulnerable moment, the mask slips and instinct takes over. If he's emotionally invested, it shows. If he's not, that shows too. His behavior in those first few moments afterward is a raw reflection of how he truly feels about you, whether he consciously realizes it or not. Some men may try to replicate behaviors they believe you want to see, but unless there's a real emotional connection behind it, those gestures will feel hollow or inconsistent. A man who is falling for you doesn't need to think about what to do next. His actions come naturally. He'll stay close, he'll hold you, and more importantly, he won't be in a rush to leave or disconnect. That moment becomes less about physical relief and more about emotional bonding. Men, just like women, are wired to attach differently depending on the depth of their feelings. When he's emotionally detached, the experience may feel transactional, something that begins and ends with the act itself. But when a man is genuinely falling for you, sex becomes a gateway to closeness. His need to touch, hold, or simply be in your presence after isn't just a habit. It's a compulsion driven by connection. He'll look at you with a softness that says more than words could. He'll want to talk to you, learn about what's on your mind, or maybe just stay in comfortable silence. This isn't something that can be faked or rehearsed, because it comes from a place deeper than conscious thought. He might ask if you're okay, not out of obligation, but out of genuine concern. He'll notice your emotional state, your expressions, your energy. That awareness is not typical when a man is only focused on his own experience. If he's falling, he becomes attuned to yours. He doesn't suddenly become a different person, but you'll notice small but significant changes. His voice softens, his tone becomes more tender, and his presence becomes calmer. These things are not random. They're signs that the emotional part of his brain is activated, not just the physical one. You won't need to decode cryptic behavior or wonder what it meant. The truth will be in how he shows up in those delicate minutes when there's nothing left to prove, no act to maintain. That's the window into his emotional honesty. If a man rolls away, grabs his phone, or distances himself physically and emotionally, it doesn't always mean he's using you, but it often means he's not connecting beyond the surface. On the other hand, if he stays close, listens to you breathe, traces your skin like he's memorizing a moment, or simply holds you like he doesn't want it to end, that's not performance. That's truth showing up when the show is over. After sex, the natural instinct of a man who's emotionally invested is to move closer, not away. That moment of physical vulnerability creates an opening for emotional vulnerability, and if he's truly falling for you, he won't want to escape that feeling. Instead, he'll want to extend it. That's when you see a man's true relationship with intimacy. Does he lean into it, or does he retreat? If he's not emotionally connected, you'll often notice an immediate shift. His energy changes, his attention shifts, and his body may subtly or obviously create distance. But when a man desires more than just the physical, he draws near. He wants to feel your warmth, your presence, your breath. It's not about sex anymore. It's about staying connected. That closeness isn't always dramatic. It might be a quiet reach for your hand, a slight turn of his body toward yours, a calm sigh of contentment while remaining close. These small gestures are meaningful because they aren't calculated. He's not trying to impress or perform. In fact, it's the absence of performance that makes this so real. He's no longer trying to get your attention. He already has it, and now, in this moment, he just wants to be asterisk with you. That's what falling looks like. Not always fireworks or grand romantic speeches, but the soft, slow magnet of closeness when there's nothing left to prove. For many men, post-sex behavior isn't about what they're thinking. It's about what they're feeling without realizing it. If he turns toward you, stays engaged, touches your skin gently, or simply lies quietly next to you, it signals emotional presence. Not just physical proximity, but a genuine desire to remain in the moment with you. It may not even involve words. Sometimes it's the silence that speaks the loudest, the kind of silence where you feel safe, seen, and wanted. When a man seeks closeness instead of separation, he's showing that being with you feels like home, not a transaction or an escape. You'll notice he's not reaching for distractions. He's not rushing to check his phone, get dressed, or move on to the next part of his day. There's a slowness to his energy, a deliberate calm that says, "I'm not in a hurry to let this moment go." That's when you know he's not just physically present. He's emotionally anchored. He isn't overwhelmed by vulnerability. He's comforted by it. This behavior isn't typical of every man, and that's what makes it so telling. When he chooses connection over withdrawal, it reflects how safe he feels with you and how much he values the experience you've just shared. This kind of closeness goes beyond lust. It's not about craving a body, it's about wanting to stay near a soul. When a man stays, lingers, holds you tighter instead of letting go, it means something deeper is happening beneath the surface. He may not say it outright, but his actions are revealing what words haven't yet caught up to express. When a man is only physically invested, his need for connection usually ends the moment the act is over. He may pull away, go quiet, or shift his attention elsewhere because his emotional involvement is minimal. But when a man is falling for you, something different happens after sex. He starts talking. And not just any talk. He engages in vulnerable conversation, the kind that reveals parts of him he doesn't normally show. That vulnerability doesn't come from obligation or performance. It's spontaneous, unfiltered, and often surprising even to him. In those quiet, post-intimate moments, he may start sharing thoughts, fears, dreams, or childhood memories not because he planned to, but because he suddenly feels safe enough to let them surface. Sex, for many men, lowers the walls they've built to protect their emotions, and if the connection goes beyond physical attraction, those walls don't go back up right away. In fact, they crumble a little. He might ask you questions that show he's truly interested in your world. Or he might talk about something personal, something he doesn't usually share with others. These are the signs that intimacy is working on a deeper level. He's not just there to enjoy the moment. He's using the moment to deepen his emotional bond with you. That type of openness doesn't come easily to most men, especially if they've learned to keep feelings under wraps. So when it happens, it's significant. You may notice his tone shifts. There's less pretense, less control. He's not putting on a show. He might stumble through his thoughts or speak more slowly. carefully choosing his words. That's because he's revealing a more honest version of himself, one that isn't used to being seen, and it doesn't always look romantic or polished. Sometimes it's messy or quiet or simple, like him saying he doesn't want the night to end, or that he feels calm when he's with you. These moments of verbal vulnerability are small windows into his emotional world, and once opened, they're hard to fake. It's not about what he says, but why he says it. If he's sharing to build a connection, not to manipulate or flatter, it will feel genuine. He won't be trying to impress you, he'll be trying to connect with you. Vulnerable conversation is one of the rarest and most powerful post-sex signs that a man is falling, because it shows that he's not afraid to be seen, even in his rawest form. That emotional exposure tells you he's not running from closeness, he's seeking it. And when a man starts letting you into his inner world, especially during moments when he's most unguarded, it's a sign that his heart is involved. He may not say the words "I'm falling for you," but in those gentle admissions, open-ended questions, or quiet confessions, he's showing it with more honesty than any rehearsed phrase ever could. The eyes and body language of a man after sex tell a story that words often can't. In the moments following intimacy, he's no longer in performance mode, and his physical cues start to speak louder than anything he might say. When a man is emotionally connected and falling for you, his body softens not in exhaustion, but in presence. He doesn't tense up or turn away. Instead, his posture relaxes in your direction. His face is more open, and his gaze lingers. Eye contact becomes less about seduction and more about depth. He looks at you like he's really seeing you, not just your body, but your essence. That kind of look is hard to misinterpret. It's not the glance of a man who's already mentally elsewhere. It's the stare of someone who is still in the moment with you, drinking it in, remembering it. Body language in this context isn't just about where he positions himself, it's about the energy he gives off. Is he curling into you or rolling away? Is he reaching out for another touch, not out of habit but comfort? A man who's falling will often keep a point of connection going even after the act is complete. Maybe it's his hand resting on your back, his legs intertwined with yours, or a subtle brushing of your hair behind your ear. These small gestures are deeply revealing because they show a desire to maintain the emotional connection, not just the physical closeness. He might trace lines on your skin with his fingers or hold your hand without needing a reason. These are not casual movements. They come from a place of affection and attachment. When a man cares, his body reflects it involuntarily. There's no effort behind it. He's not thinking, "I should hold her now." His body just stays with you. His eyes don't wander. They stay on your face, watching you, admiring you. It's the look of someone who's not just appreciating the moment, but the person who made the moment possible. Even in silence, his body language speaks volumes. A man who is emotionally invested doesn't appear distracted or restless. He's grounded, fully present, often slower in his movements. He doesn't rush to put space between you. If anything, he wants to eliminate any space that remains. He may shift closer, wrap his arm around you, or simply breathe in sync with you. These cues don't lie. When a man is falling, his body starts mirroring yours, not just out of comfort, but out of connection. His movements become gentle, attentive, responsive. You'll feel like he's tuned in, even without saying a word. It's often in the way he looks at you when he thinks you're not watching that gives it away. That unguarded gaze, full of affection, admiration, or quiet longing, is something that can't be replicated without true feeling. A man may be able to fake words, or even a moment of passion, but he can't fake what his body naturally does when he's emotionally drawn to someone. His physical closeness becomes an extension of his emotional pull, and that's when you know something deeper is happening. After sex, the emotional gap between two people becomes either more visible or more closed. One of the most telling signs that a man is falling for you is how attuned he is to your emotional state in that vulnerable moment. If he's emotionally invested, he doesn't just disappear into his own head or drift into self-focus. Instead, his attention shifts to you. He becomes more aware, more sensitive, and more responsive to your feelings, both spoken and unspoken. It's in this space where empathy begins to show. He'll instinctively want to know how you feel, not because he's trying to gain approval or avoid criticism, but because he genuinely cares about your experience. You may notice he asks questions like, "Are you okay?" or "How was that for you?" and they don't come from a place of formality. There's sincerity in the way he asks, in the tone he uses, in the patience he shows while waiting for your answer. Even if you don't say much, he'll study your expression, your breathing, your energy. He'll pick up on your silence and respond with comfort instead of retreat. That level of attentiveness doesn't happen when someone is disconnected or emotionally unavailable. It's the behavior of someone who values how you feel just as much as what just happened. Caring about your emotional state also shows up in the way he handles physical affection afterward. He might hold you closer, kiss your forehead, or wrap you in the kind of embrace that says, "I've got you." There's a safety in his touch that doesn't ask for more. It simply offers reassurance. His body language turns from desire to protectiveness, not in a controlling way, but in a nurturing one. It's not that he suddenly becomes your therapist or starts solving your problems. Rather, he creates a space where you feel safe just being you. That emotional presence builds trust, and it's often the moment a woman senses that what just happened wasn't just physical. It was meaningful. Another subtle yet powerful sign is that he doesn't rush you emotionally. He lets the silence breathe. He lets the connection linger. He may not always have the perfect words, but his actions say enough. He listens more than he speaks. He doesn't make it all about him. When a man cares, he's willing to step into your emotional experience, not stand outside of it. That's a vulnerability many men reserve only for women they truly care about, because for him, emotional engagement isn't a tactic. It's an instinct when he's with someone who matters. He doesn't need you to be okay for his own comfort. He wants you to be okay because he's emotionally involved. He doesn't detach or shut down when things feel too intimate. Instead, he moves toward you with softness and care because your feelings affect his. And that emotional echo is something that's nearly impossible to fake. It's a signal that his heart is invested, not just his body. When a man is falling for you, the connection doesn't end with the physical experience. It extends into what he sees with you next. One of the clearest signs is when, after sex, he begins talking about the future, even in small ways. It might not be a grand declaration about moving in together or getting married, but his language subtly shifts toward inclusion. He might mention something he wants to do with you, bring up a place he thinks you'd both enjoy, or talk about plans that go beyond the moment. These glimpses into the future aren't random, they're instinctive indicators that he's mentally placing you in his life beyond now. Men who are only physically interested usually speak in terms of the present. They avoid commitments, sidestep anything that sounds like planning, and generally keep things vague. But a man who's emotionally connected will let his guard down just enough to reveal that he's starting to see you as more than a momentary part of his world. He might casually say something like, "You'd love this beach I go to," or "We should try that place next weekend." While those words might sound light, they're significant, because in his mind, the idea of *U* in his future feels natural, not forced. This sign doesn't just appear in words, it shows in how he behaves. After intimacy, he may want to linger, not because he's tired, but because he enjoys being in your space. He might offer to stay the night, or if you're at his place, he makes it feel like you're welcome to stay longer. He doesn't hint at needing time alone or push you out with excuses. He's comfortable with the closeness, not just physically, but emotionally. That comfort allows him to start imagining how the two of you might fit into each other's lives in a more consistent way. You'll notice that his tone is relaxed, not guarded. He doesn't sound rehearsed or careful. The future slips into conversation without him catching himself or backtracking. That's how you know it's real. When a man is emotionally unavailable, even the suggestion of planning feels suffocating. But when he's falling, it feels exciting. He might start sharing stories about his past in a way that connects to where he's going. Maybe he opens up about goals, things he wants to build, places he wants to go. And then you start hearing words like "we" instead of just "I." That shift in language reflects a shift in mindset. You're no longer someone he's simply enjoying time with. You're someone he's beginning to mentally include in the life he's building. It doesn't need to be dramatic or overly romantic. Sometimes it's just a small reference, a joke about doing something together, or asking what you're doing next week. But the consistency of these forward, focused moments tells you he's not compartmentalizing the connection. He's expanding it. He's not thinking about how to exit gracefully. He's thinking about how to stay and what comes next.